I'm
Yeah.
Sheri Tischer with TCI Business Capital, and joining me today for this conversation is Jerry, Grady, and Bryan Besco, both of UHY. We've worked together in the past on some, webinars and things of that nature. We've had a great time together, so I thought it'd be fun for us to get together and talk about some hot topics as it relates to staffing, mergers, and acquisitions. Now, Bryan, you'd mentioned being at SIA's Healthcare Staffing Summit in
Yep.
Boston. We were there as well.
Mhm.
And one of the things I did hear a lot about, particularly in the healthcare staffing space, were mergers and acquisitions. And I'm
Yep.
sure, you see it all across staffing, but it just was really obvious during that
Yeah.
conference. People were
Yeah.
talking about that a lot. So
Yeah.
I suppose you guys really help support staffing owners who are considering selling, or tell me how you guys support a
Yeah.
staffing
So
owner.
we kind of work on both sides, actually, and actually at that SIA Healthcare Staffing Summit, SIA actually asked UHY to host a roundtable session on M&A and private equity, and actually Jerry did that. So we did. It was almost kind of like speed dating. We did like two separate tables that we had individuals come and. You're only supposed to have so many seats at your table, and we had about double each time because right now M&A is hot. It's a great time to sell. With regards to, especially in the healthcare staffing, what a great time to sell right now your business. We're working on some deals now, and our clients are getting a lot more for their business than they ever thought they would. We've also had some conversations with individuals that haven't thought about selling. And, after having some conversations with them, they're seeing, a lot of value there because there's so much opportunity, for the larger organizations to go ahead and kind of gobble up some of the smaller ones. But we help on both the buy side and the sell side. So regardless if you're looking to buy or sell, we guide our clients on both sides of the spectrum there.
Okay.
I mean, the M&As is something that's been going on now for, since the pandemics, in the middle of the pandemic, you could see, that it was going to start. And so we actually have 5 companies that are out in the marketplace right now. We should have 3 closed by the end of, well, I'm going to say now by the end of the 31st. And then, a couple more going out in January, February timeframe. I think we're going to see a lot more. I think there is a consolidation that's starting to happen again. I think a lot of business owners who did get PPP money, some that are getting the ERTC money, they've paid down their debt. And I think that when they look at all that, they see a much more higher realized cash value, coming to their own personal balance sheet. And they look at it and say, wow, you know what? I don't want to go through another, turmoil or go through another curve. So I think I'm just going to get out now because it's the perfect
Right.
storm.
Right.
And
Right.
I've seen it all over and all the clients that we work with is it's turned into a perfect storm. And it's a great opportunity because some of the values, are way up there. Something I haven't seen since the 8-9 time frame. And some may be overvalued, some may be undervalued, but everybody has their own thoughts on that.
And to kind of add on to that, Sheri, is, there's a variety of different ways that, if companies are thinking about, selling, they can do, a private or public type of sale. Private, maybe it's, I only want, these 2 or 3 companies, or we can open up to a public where, for one of the deals we on, what did we have, Jerry? Like 200 letters we sent out, and we had like 50 LOIs to come out of
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I
So,
mean, it's a great
there's
opportunity.
yeah, there's a variety of different ways to do it, and kind of what works best for that particular, client. If they want to make it a public thing or a private, it's one of the things that our corporate finance and M&A team kind of help guide them through.
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought about the public option. So
Mhm.
in that case, you send letters out to a
Yeah.
variety.
That's what you call going to market.
Okay.
When you go to market, you've created a sheet, called a teaser.
Yep.
And, we have list and list and list of people, PE funds,
Mhm.
other organizations, family funds, and that teaser gets sent out to usually somewhere between 150 to 250 people. And then from that teaser, they say, yep, I'd like to see some data. They sign an NDA, they get access to the data room. Then they go in and they start looking at the book, which is really the book of what the company is, who they are. From that, they create an LOI. And then from the LOI, we then work with the client and go through and figure out, okay, of these 20 people, who do we feel is really going to be worth, sitting down, and who's really got the financial capital, and who's really a buyer, and who's really just kind of knocking at the door. And
Okay.
then from there, it goes to the management meetings. And we call that kind of like, the market approach, because that's what helps drive up a seller's value. And that's the intent. Now, when you go to a more of a private, process where you say, you know what, we just want to target our business to these 5 or 6 people, that's where the problem comes in, because you may not get the full value that you could get by going to the marketplace.
Right.
So I think it's just important that, hey, if you're going to do some M&A, you want to make sure that you sit down and kind of walk through all the different avenues and get a good understanding of what that entails.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Sheri, part of that too, and it's not necessarily all about the value too. Obviously, that's an important piece of it when you're looking to sell your business, but also trying to find the right fit and the right company that's going to, or a private equity that's going to be coming into this, organization, because, a lot of these owners, their business is their baby. It's their business and they built it, and they care about their employees and their people, and they want to make sure, are my people going to be protected, right? Maybe that current owner, maybe they want to stay on for a certain period of time, during that transition phase. So we kind of guide them through that. It's like that hand holding. One of the things I talked about with the client that we're talking to right now, she's looking to sell, is we want to make sure that we're leading the dance, and I may say we by you. We don't want, the buyer leading the dance. This is your company to sell. Let's do it the right way on your terms, not necessarily the buyer's terms.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Speaking of mergers and acquisitions, we actually just recently started working with somebody this past year who he owned a staffing company in Arizona, ended up buying one in Illinois, a small firm, and he was able to self-fund his firm in Arizona, but then didn't have the cash, the cash flow once he bought the new firm. So then we were able to step in and help do the receivables financing for that new firm in Illinois. From your perspective, I mean, you guys work with businesses all the time as it relates to cash flow and managing that. I mean, in this case, like this was a great solution for him. Are there other times that you guys see receivables financing as a possible good solution for a staffing owner?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a very, very strong proponent of AR funding receivables. I'm a strong proponent of payroll funding, whatever, you guys want to call it.
Mhm.
It's not just a matter of how do you make your company grow. That's the first place when a client tells me and says, look, I'm having a really hard time getting our 25% growth that we need, because I know I can put 100 people out over the next 45 days. My first comment to him is, well, we got to go get some, AR funding and payroll funding. And we know, TCI is a great firm that can get this done for us. Because of that, that will grow them. It drives them up. And then we work with them to make sure that we say, look, at some point that cash flow is going to start turning, where you're now turning it every 30 to 45 days, so that at a TCI level, we keep you guys at a fair level that's fair and honest, and gets the company to be able to grow quickly and get them on staff. Then they now have that AR turning. And so now the cash flow is coming in, and they can use the operating income now to grow that business.
Yeah.
In addition, it's also great for expansion purposes. We'll look at, and I don't mean expansion as far as the business of going out and putting in, 100 people. I look at it and say, if I have a staffing firm that has no debt on their books, and they're looking to hire a new sales leader or a new operational leader or a new CFO, and they'll say to me as well, I just don't have the cash flow. I don't want to invest my own money. I look at the AR and I go, well, you got about $2 million in AR. I'm sure we can get 6 months of financing on the person's payroll, to fund that through an AR finance program. So that's where another good use comes into play. And then also from a tech stack standpoint, everybody's trying to get their tech stack cleaned up, get more efficient, get more efficiencies out of their current system. And I believe that, utilizing working capital, to push that type of expansion is good. Now, I'm not saying use AR financing for long-term assets. I want to get that out there right away. I'm saying use it for operating issues that it's going to take somebody to come in, a team to come in and help you implement a good maybe back office or ATS system, get everything working harmoniously with each other and make it efficient. That's what that AR financing can also be used for. So there's a lot of use for AR financing. And a lot of times the banks aren't going to do it for that type of stuff. They don't believe in it. And so, like I said, I'm a firm believer in making sure you utilize that asset you have and get the most out of it.
Okay. Yep. That's great advice. Much appreciated, both of you.